Have they ever blamed you about the fact that you don't listen enough? Hi, everyone, and here I'm back with a new episode. This episode is gonna be about listening. It's ironic that I'm creating an episode about listening while you're listening to my podcast. So I do hope this can also contribute to the community, especially when it's also going to be applied to your own audience and so that they can listen better to yourself. So it's a bit of funny way to talk about it, in my opinion. But yeah, let's go on. Become a better listener. Too often, communication goes wrong because we are not listening. I mean, I cannot say it again, but this is so common. It's just so common that you hear people complaining about their partner, like, oh, he's not listening, she's not listening. Or even when you're in a conversation, you realize, like, man, she is not listening. She's definitely not here. Or sometimes we understand this as a lack of presence, which is usually the case. That's the reason why we're listening. But we're going to go into what is the difference between listening or hearing something. And there's a little extra on it as well, which I will share a little bit further. So we can hear, or we can listen, or we can truly listen to what somebody is saying or sharing. So, an example of hearing is we hear some noises and sounds, but our brain is not processing anything of it. So, basically, this is the person who is, yeah, maybe looking at you, but she or he are not really paying any attention to what you're saying. Because if you make them a question, they will not be able to reply. And if they will, they might reply with one or two words that they hear and they could remember, but for the rest, they cannot really understand what was the sharing about or what was the conversation about. So they're just basically not present. They're gone. They're somewhere else. They're thinking about something else, and you don't have any focus or concentration. It just feels really awkward to be with someone like this, having a drink or having a dinner or just a random conversation. It's just very awkward, and it feels really, yeah, uncomfortable. But at the same time, it feels like you're wasting your time, right? You just shared something and that person is just not paying attention. So it's really not nice. So if you have experienced it as a person who has been hearing or listening to people like this, well, yeah, here you have some of my sharing so that you could maybe think about trying to improve it. And if you have experienced the other side, which is having someone like that in front of you, it's going to be very easy for you to understand and empathize in order to avoid doing this to anybody. You just don't want people to feel that they are not important enough to be listened to. Everyone has somehow a voice that they want to voice out, and it's very appreciated when someone is willing to listen to that. So if you really want to start establishing connection, listening is extremely important. And as well for your communication in a relationship, if you can listen, how can you even solve something? How can you even understand? Because I just shared it. I mean, hearing is not going to take you anywhere. It's just going to increase tension and generate more conflict. As you could see in the example, that's an invitation for a conflict. That's an invitation for creating new tensions. So, and it takes actually the same amount of energy because it feels like sometimes when people are just hearing and they're so used to hear, they believe that listening takes more energy. But the fact that they are not present makes me believe that they are thinking, thinking, and thinking, processing any other information that is not part of the conversation. And that requires actually a lot of energy. So if you can really let that go or just put that aside and say, okay, I'm not going to think about work right now because this person is talking to me about something that is important to her, then you will notice that once you put aside your concerns about work, and that you focus on this person, you become more present. You actually are gaining energy instead of wasting that energy in trying to listen to someone. It's funny because this I have experienced myself. Somebody telling me like, "Oh, it requires so much energy." I'm like, "Well, it requires less than what you're doing to be in your head over and over again." At some point, it's good to rest of that and just follow the flow of a conversation, for example. And it's sort of a disconnection from your work, for example. So yeah, usually those people were hearing noises, sounds. They see somebody talking, but they don't really listen to what they're saying. So if you ask them what was it about, they can barely reply. So that's very simple and very clear. So let's go for the example of listening. So listening, this is already a improved version of the previous one, but it's already nice that you have someone listening at this level, which is we hear what is being shared and we can intellectually understand what they mean. So, this is already a very good level of listening to someone, meaning that they're getting the entire conversation and they can clearly reply by using their memory. So, you share anything and they will be able to repeat and actually engage in a true conversation. So you could start matching with that person. Could start seeing like, oh, I like this person, I dislike it. We have share opinions, for example, because she's listening. So yeah, you can give your opinion on one topic, and then she or he can give her opinion, and then yeah, the conversation is just going on, and about any topic. So if someone has that capacity to really listen intellectually, it's already a big thing. And I already really appreciate this. Then we have an intellectual conversation, and I enjoy them a lot. However, today I wanted to share with you the next level, like the truly listening to someone, which what I just shared is listening, but we can do better. We can improve it even more to really authentically being listening to someone with full presence. So, when we are truly listening to someone, we are not only using our intellect to understand the conversation, but we also feel the conversation. And that's the major difference. This is when true empathy is being used so that we can easily identify and relate to emotions and feelings of the person who is sharing whatever she has on her heart, for example. So when you can really tap into emotions and feelings when somebody is talking, it means you're really truly listening. You're listening not only intellectually with the words, but also the emotions that are behind those words. So you could just basically feel it. And sometimes those feelings or emotions are saying much more than what the words are saying. So if you start using this capacity to really listen to someone and read their emotions and their feelings, you can really go to a very deep and nice connection. The best example to see if someone is listening so deeply is when they can start having or showing tears. So, the best example to know if someone is truly listening is when they're really listening with their heart. And it's when they can deeply connect with you, deeply enough, so that when you're sharing a sad story or a sad emotion or feeling, they can also start showing tears. And you see this often in those programs when someone is, I don't know, sharing a beautiful story on television, and then you have presentators or any other judges, for example, uh, feeling those tears and they start expressing them. And then you truly can say, yes, this person is really listening to what I'm sharing. And the beautiful aspect of this is that you can go into a really deep connection. So it's not only just a match, an intellectual match where you find someone interesting and you're like, wow, she or he is so interesting of what she's saying because her intellect, and you kind of get seduced by the intellect. But when you go into feelings and emotion, you start feeling really connected with someone. And that's usually where love appears. That's usually when we can start feeling love for someone. Some people match with intellect, which is also fine, but it's just a match. Love is not there yet because there are not yet a communication between emotions and feelings. But once you start reading and feeling emotions of the others and feelings, then you truly start connecting. And this is the main difference between hearing, listening, or truly listening to what someone has to share. So I really hope you enjoy this. I really hope those three examples can help you to understand, to put it into practice, to listen to my podcast and other episodes, or just to truly have a nice conversation with your partner, friends, family, or whatsoever. Try to practice it, and you will see how this will give you a lot of added value to your life, and also to life of the others. Thank you very much, and looking forward to see you the next time.